Shalom, friends. This week's Torah portion is called Balak, and there are many aspects of it that are worthy of our attention. And I'm going to draw your attention to just two of them in this very brief Bisselle Torah. One of them is the name Balak. Who was Balak? He was king of a nation called Moab. As king of that nation, Balak heard that the Jewish people were coming towards him, and he was terrified that they were going to attack him. In his own imagination, he had heard about the people that had attacked the Jews before, like the Amalekites, and God took their side and destroyed the enemy. And he was fearful that the nation of Israel was going to likewise destroy him. So the first thing we'll want to look at is the name of the Torah portion is called Balak, after King Balak, who wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Why in the world would we have a Torah portion called Balak, named after somebody who was such a bad individual? We have other Torah portions that are called Jethro, after Moses' father-in-law, Noah, right, savior of the world by building a boat and putting the animals on the ark. We have another portion called Pinchas, who was a zealot for God and staved off a terrible thing from happening to the Jewish people, which we're going to be looking at in just a few weeks. But why Balak? Why would we have a Torah portion named after him? And that brings us to the second topic of Bilam. So how was Balak going to destroy the Jewish people? He was going to destroy them by employing a mercenary by the name of Bilam. Bilam was renowned as a sorcerer and a prophet, whom Balak believed was going to destroy the Jewish people by placing a curse on them, basically making them inept, incapable of doing anything but falling apart at the seams. So the two questions I want to open up with today is, number one, why is the Torah portion called Balak when he was such a bad person? Would we call a Torah portion Stalin? That would be an example that we might use today. And second of all, why was this man, Bilam, given such authority and power that he could, in fact, use God's power to curse the Jewish people? How could such a thing occur? Number one, everybody has a choice about how they perceive the other. We can look at people who come from a different nation from us, have a different tone of skin color than us. We can look at people who are different from us and say they're not as good as, we're better than. And we're seeing this rampant in our nation right now. We're seeing this rampant throughout the world, that there are tiers, that you're with us and you're better, and you're not with us and you're worse. Americans are better than everybody else. White people are better than everybody else. Christians are better than everybody else. When you have these ideas in mind, and you know what the word for that is, it's called prejudice. When you have those ideas in mind and you can't erase them from your mind, you're malformed in your way of looking at other people. You can't look at them as equals and instead view them as opportunists who are going to usurp your power, take away what belongs to you. Wrong-minded thinking and anti-Jewish thoroughly. Balak had a choice. He could have made shalom with the Jewish people. He could have sent an emissary to them saying, look, your nation's here, my nation is here, right? Why can't we talk about making a pact between us? And so that we can enjoy prosperity together. You have your plot of land, I have my plot of land. We don't have to make war against each other. He didn't have to learn the worst about what he believed had happened in the past. Instead, he could have made overtures to peace. Instead, he did not. He chose the darker path. Number two, how is it that a man like Bilam could be endowed with such power as to allow him to curse the Jewish people? And this idea, too, goes very deep into all of our personalities and our imaginations. Who are you and what are you capable of doing? Are you self-limiting your life? by what you say you can't do, or allowing yourself greater possibility by saying, I'm going to give this a try. I believe that when you say you can't do something, when a student comes to me and says, Rabbi, I can't do this, I tell them, you're right, you can't. And then I see their eyes open wide. Rabbi, how could you say such a thing? And then I say to them, you say you can't do it, therefore you can't do it. If you tell me you can't, you can't. It doesn't make any difference whether they're a child or 80 years old. If you say you can't, you can't. If you say you can, no matter how far-reaching that idea is, you can and you will find the way to make that possible. We are always in the potentiality of becoming greater than what we are right now. That's the story of our lives. That's the story of Balaam as well. He could have gone either way. God gave him potential like he gave you potential, like he gave me potential, like he gave all of humanity potential. We can become great, or we can become constricted, like Mitzrayim, like squashed. But that's not something that somebody else does to us. That's something that we do to ourselves. So between Balak and Balaam, we learn the powerful lesson of learning how to see ourselves and look outside of ourselves at others with grace, with hope, and with possibility. This is a gift that this Torah portion, Balak, gives to us. I hope we can take it to heart and become what God knows we can be.